Welcome to the Better Streets for Birmingham podcast. Today I am talking with Martin Price, the Chair of Better Streets for Birmingham, about the year ahead 2026. Thank you very much for taking the time to talk to me today, Martin.
No, you're welcome. Thank you for having me.
So 2026 could well be a pivotal year for tackling road harm. In the national context, we've just recently had the new road harm reduction strategy, and it's one that does in many ways mirror our own local road harm reduction strategy, which was released with full council approval in March 2025. That builds on the 2021 transport plan for the city. So having both national and local should really smooth the delivery of all of these road harm reductions, with the possible spanner that 2026 includes elections, full council elections in May. This, of course, has the potential to change the mood when it comes to tackling road danger within the city. So I think we'll have to start with a short review. Martin, where are we up to with the 2021 transport plans, say, reallocation goal of 1/3 of all road space to other forms of transport by 2030, I think it was, wasn't it?
Yeah, a very short deadline actually. And now that we're around halfway through, I don't think we're far enough through that. It was an ambitious target of 1/3 of road space. I think that's likely going to take about a decade or more. I think that corridors, so Birmingham Transport Plan divides Birmingham into city centre, corridors, which are main roads, and then the neighbourhoods, the kind of slices of pizza between the main roads that go into the city centre. And if you look at it, like Hagley Road is starting to get skates on to have that kind of thing, where it's like bus lane. A38 Bristol Road, going to get it. You've already got it in other slices. So in that sense, getting into the city centre, they're probably doing quite a good job. But in terms of the neighbourhood stuff, that's taking an awful lot longer. And I think that we should be prepared for this to be a long-term strategy if indeed it continues.
Yeah. I think, so some of these places for people, type neighbourhoods, some have been delivered kind of quietly and quickly. Others, we know the kind of louder ones, like in Moseley and Kings Heath, have been a little more fraught. So we're also into year 3 of the road safety emergency. Have we seen much progress for the items that were to be delivered in that?
No, it's very, very much. And bear in mind that the road harm reduction strategy for the city is only a year old, about nowish. So it took them a while to translate what they were going to do in response to the emergency into document and an action plan, and also get it through the joys of Birmingham City Council governance. In terms of what they're looking to do there, I think some of the key things around enforcement have moved forward a lot. You've got speed cameras going up on Coventry Road. You've got red light cameras starting to come in. You've got junction cameras that are quite a few years in the making coming in. But it is taking a while. Ultimately, the goal is to reduce road harm. Also 40 miles an hour and above down to 30. That's come in, took 2 years to do. But when you look at road harm reduction overall, like the goal for the council at least, and that's why I think it's probably bolder than the national strategy, is to remove through journeys from neighbourhoods and put them onto main roads. And then on those main roads, control the traffic through things like camera technology and reduce speed limits. And really make it so neighbourhoods are for the people that live there, to deter from speeding traffic and reckless driving going through neighbourhoods, because you can't do that, can't go anywhere other than addresses within those neighbourhoods. So that's why I think it is better than in many ways than the national one, but the national one does start to address some of the offences, the rules of the road, and also the penalties that go with dangerous driving and being in control of a vehicle. So it tackles it from that lens, that very much stick lens, rather than on the ground, how do we prevent road harm entirely.
So, what do you think the elections in May are going to mean for transport policy? I mean, even, does it really matter? How much does it matter who is in control and what level of control they have? To kind of influence what is very much a lot of this is policies that are kind of developed by different departments and civil servants.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the policy, I think it's very hard to disagree with the core objectives of the policy. So fewer road deaths, more efficient moving about. I think what people will disagree with from party to party is how we get there. The transport plan and associated documents are very politically bold. Do I think that time has been wasted since they were introduced in the works? So the first one was introduced during COVID, and then it was updated again in 2021. I think that we have had some fairly bold cabinet members that could have gone further faster, but for various reasons didn't. What that then means in terms of the results of the council election is I don't think that you can disagree with the core bits of the transport plan, but actually some things might go on ice for a couple of years rather than a whole rewrite, I hope. We might see more of the people-pleasing schemes that don't have much of an impact but might have a little bit of impact going in. I know that some parties very kind of anti everything that the transport plan looks to achieve in terms of implementation. But again, I think that when you start taking away all of the bluster around it, there are sound principles where the city is getting incredibly congested, there are too many road deaths, people need to move around the city more effectively and efficiently, and when they do that, they can save money but also spend money in the local economy. And I think that that's really important. Like, people need to be able to move around with public transport, especially people that are older, younger, everybody getting around more efficiently in the city, school, local trips. It's just more the controls that you have to put in place to allow that to happen that people might disagree on.
Okay, so let's talk about some of the projects that we've got coming up this year. We've got a couple of rail items. I think probably one of the ones I'm most excited about is the Camp Hill line, which is kind of reintroduction, but also the East Side Metro, and starting to see extensions going out into these different parts of the city getting connected, which is fantastic, really.
Yeah, so we'll see Camp Hill open. So you've got your Pineapple Road, your King's Heath and your Moseley connected into New Street at first, twice hourly service. I believe that it will be 4 carriages as well. And I think those will be very full carriages, given that it's twice an hour. But I think that people will persevere, given the journey time difference compared to the number 50 bus. And also outside of the city, but in the region, you've got your Darlaston and Willenhall's opening. So that's on the to Wolverhampton and Walsall line. Towards the north of the region. And then Metro, like you say, we've got new extensions opening within Birmingham city centre. So from Bull Street, the new junction that's there, down towards Millennium Point until HS2 kind of allow the tram to go through their building site. And then also you can take that tram, and I think it's important that you talk about the rest of the region, and that will open up a link that could take you to Dudley through Wednesbury on the new line that's opening after several decades of trying to get that open. So I think that's really important for the region, having those new lines, and you can't very well get to Dudley other than by bus or by car at the moment.
Yeah, and to have, I think is it Sandwell and Dudley is the current station, which is just unfair to really put Dudley's name on that, for considering how poor it is as a kind of connection point for it. So I think we also will get tap and go payments. They should be opening imminently. So possibly even...
yeah, so yeah, sort of, probably. In terms of rail,
I mean, they're already installed at the stops, aren't they?
For tram, yes, we'll get contactless tap and go. The challenge has always been getting rail into the network. Certainly, because bus is quite easy now. They've been through a project. We'll have franchising that can define the machines that are used, but we've been able to use SwiftGo on that for a while. Tram is owned by the West Midlands Combined Authority, so it's easier to dictate the technology, but it's train fares that are the tricky ones. So you can have a monthly pass or a weekly pass, fortnightly pass, but it's very hard to do pay as you go.
Okay, so what else we've got coming up this year? New items we're going to have a change in our pay per ride kind of micro mobility operator. So we've had Beryl for who replaced Voy over the last couple of years. So we did some sleuthing, and it's
Lime. That's actually quite a big step change in micromobility for the region. They do very well in London in terms of coverage, and also something that I've experienced is that they'll do very well for events as well. So Alexandra Palace, they will park up a great many bikes there for people to get home. So I think that's what I'm looking forward to, is that actually things like Edgbaston, there'll be a load of bikes available potentially, and football games, thinking about Sports Quarter. If you get the cycle lane over to Sports Quarter, then you could get a lot of people to cycle back, as well as walk, as well as get the tram, as well as get the train.
Yeah. It will be interesting as well as to see what the requirements are for parking of the bikes as well, because at the moment we're very restricted on these kind of docks that we have currently. So
yeah, exactly. My understanding is that it's going to be virtual docks, which I think will be good. What we haven't seen with micromobility so far is that reach to be able to get. Like, I can't use it down in the southwest of the city because actually the zones ended in Stetchley and Bourneville, but pre-Beryl for Voy, I could just about get to Northfield, just about. Near the Royal Orthopaedic Hospital is where the line ended, and you would get your line of scooters building up.
Yeah, we also so the other works that we're going to be seeing, and this is really all through the year, isn't it? Is the new street repaving.
Yes, so it's going to take until I believe partway through next year. So that is going from Victoria Square, the steps of the fountain that are in need of some love, all the way along New Street to the tram line, but also the offshoot streets. So thinking about Bennett's Hill, and I want to say Temple Street, but I get them mixed up all the time. So that will have the one-way loop reversed, which will be good. I suppose there is a fun question around this is billed as an active travel connection scheme to get between all of the different rail stations effectively and get through the city centre. We've just fought off successfully the public space protection order that was going to make people go at a crawling pace or get off, which is not possible for some people who cycle and use it as a mobility aid. But also, these are very, very busy areas of the city centre. Currently, the blue routes don't quite meet to provide you a route through the city centre without going through this core. And when you have things like the Christmas market taking up the New Street and Victoria Square, for example, for a good 3 months, then that makes getting through the city centre very tricky if you're cycling or scooting as well. That's something that sticks in my mind, is actually when are we going to see that route that goes through and connects the different spokes of the corridors that come into the city centre, because currently doesn't exist. And even with this paving, I will be very glad to not have wet feet, as the loose paving can provide at the moment. But is that a great cycling solution? Probably not.
No, no. I think anything really that kind of mixes pedestrians and cyclists together is not good for either. You know, no party is enjoying a kind of mixed mobility in the same way. You know, bikes don't enjoy being on busy roads, so pedestrians don't enjoy having a load of cyclists whizzing past them. It's not fun. Talking of cycleways though, so we have the A38 continued extension, and that's a works that's going to continue on through, or really kind of kick off, I guess, again through this year.
Yeah, so it's going to start in Selly Oak, from outside University Crossing, carrying on through the High Street. Again, this is one of the schemes that have been in the backlog for several years. I think it was Active Travel 2 or 3, that fund. So we're a couple of years overdue this extension. But it will mean that you can cycle up certainly Selly Oak High Street to Selly Oak Triangle, and then later in the year, subject to full business case, which comes back to your election point, that will be going for a cabinet decision, as I understand it, one of the first cabinets after the election. Right. So assuming that goes through and is approved, then construction will start later this year, to start going from Selly Oak towards Northfield and Longbridge, and I assume that you would start at the Selly Oak end and get to Northfield and then continue on down to Longbridge, but that's going to take about two years to build.
Yeah, I mean, this is supposed to be a bit of a year of, we've had all the plans in the pipeline. They're supposed to start getting delivered now.
Exactly. It's especially these are city region sustainable transport settlement funded schemes. So they come from the combined authority via DFT, Department for Transport, from the government, so the combined authority, and then the combined authority either builds stuff or gives it to local authorities to build. So we are getting to the end of the first period of that. So that was 2022 to 2027. And we're entering 2026. Some of these schemes will go beyond 2027, and that is a concern that I've had since 2021. Funding just kind of keeps getting extended. Therefore, the deadlines are pretty arbitrary, and I still think they are. But I'm really glad to see this moving forward because, especially for the A38 scheme down to Longbridge, first of all, I live along that route, it will directly benefit me, but also there's going to be so many crossing improvements, so we managed to get extra crossings put in as part of consultation period, also access to local amenities, parks, the leisure centres along schools along the route, colleges, and finally there's a load of junction improvements where there's pretty dangerous junctions to turn right. For example, Bristol Road to Northfield Park and Ride for the station, you turn right across the central reservation. That has been very, very dangerous, and there's so many pockets like that along the A38. They're going to really look at those and reduce the number of them so that it's safer and signalise some, so it's safer for those movements. And also at the end you get your cycleway going through the middle as well, which I think will just be a really great route once we've got our bus days as well. And so eventually when they go up to kind of sprint levels, so really quick and really reliable buses, bendy buses, then we'll have a proper sustainable transport corridor going from Longbridge all the way into the city centre, which is ripe for a tramway in the future.
Yeah, well, which will be able to move a lot of people as well, which is...
Yeah, I think that people don't really think about that when some folk coming back to elections starting to oppose it, but haven't really thought about the safety impact. And I don't think that it would be an easy argument to put across, but maybe between us we can. The road space reallocation is not reducing capacity of the road, it's just giving that capacity to a different mode of transport,
Yeah,
and in
yeah.
so doing, increasing, because you're not having lots of single occupancy cars. You're having full buses, hopefully not too full, so that they just keep moving.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I mean, it fantastic as it would be to be able to kind of do a long route once you get into the city. That does need to continue, and I mean, this is something that we've seen through this year around. Like on the Kent Road, where you get to the end of that A38, you're getting into the city, and then it's building works on top of, this kind of allocated space.
Yes. But then I think looking even further forward, obviously it's about delivery now. I think that area of the city centre is really starting to come together in terms of the plans that are ahead. So you will eventually be able to get through to your HS2 station and into Digbeth very well through Smithfield. But there's so many different pieces to the puzzle that actually it makes this city centre business really hard to crack. Without potentially just going around the ring road, which is another option in the long-term plan.
Okay, I like that we talked about the A38 future sprint on that, but I think we should be seeing some more other sprints on coming up this year. So Coventry Road, is that right?
Yeah, so this is a long-standing project that's been going on for probably about 5 years now. The first sprint route, which goes from Walsall to the Birmingham city centre and then along Coventry Road, the A45 towards Solihull. So they're doing some more works. I think currently / in this time of recording, where they're just finishing up bits and pieces around the A45 Coventry Road. But that's really important because you've seen there's the data to show that reliability since that bus priority and bus rapid transit, the reliability and service standard has been great. You can get from Perry Bar certainly to the city centre in no time at all and reliably.
Yeah, that's fabulous. Which on so many bus routes you can't say that, can you? Okay, so another thing I have made a note here. Do we think we're going to see any more school streets come out in 2026?
I think so. I don't know which, but there's certainly the programme to move forward with a couple at a time. And recently there was expressions of interest for the Safer Routes to School programme, which is a new package of money available from the council. I think there were nearly or above 100. I may have made that up, but in that area, applications, expressions of interest. So I think they're just working out how on earth to convert those into schemes and which to prioritise. We've also got some Safer Routes to Schools consultations out. We've got Chilcot School, I think is what it's called, in Hall Green North. No, Hall Green South. I was just thinking, actually, that's not the right councillor. Hall Green South, and that is like a combination of money over several years to make some crossings a bit different.
Yeah, so, I think that's some crossings. That's some reductions in speed limits on a few roads there, isn't it? And
it is,
yeah. Yes. Okay. We still have a small collection of projects which, for example, the Environment, Transport and Neighbourhood Fund projects, which are still being delivered really in the style of the old 2016 road harm reduction plan, which is to do, kind of minor interventions on places where there might have been a handful of incidents before, as opposed to kind of wider area.
I think that I was reflecting on this recently, and it appears that actually for the most part, unless somebody's really, really gone and kind of held, I suppose, engineers to account, it's been path of least resistance schemes. So we've got a lot of stuff to do. We don't want to spend too much time having to argue in favour of the scheme, because when you get those letters through the door, they're very matter of fact of, we're putting for example, couple of speed cushions in your road, tell us what you think. or we are going to close this end of your road, tell us what you think. It doesn't really tell you, and this is the benefit that we expect to see, and this is why we've chosen this over another reason, which would just help residents to kind of at least understand what the measure is. And I don't think that councillors are very well equipped to do that explaining. They certainly want to bring highways folk along to meetings. Those meetings can get heated when there's not a comprehensive understanding of what interventions are and benefits, disbenefits. But yeah, it's certainly path of least resistance stuff, but also there's some quite interesting things, and like zebra crossings are good. There are also things that are not so good being delivered. But yeah, they're ongoing, and at least.
Yeah, of course. Okay, so are we okay to talk now a little bit about what the funding we're looking at coming up this year? I think we're looking at the new capital funding programmes. Is that?
Yeah, so most of our funding is received from government via the combined authority, and what's happened is that the Mayor last year decided to commission a review from an economist called Bridget Rosewell, and the review is called the Rosewell Review, and that's to look at everything that was committed to and see is that still the right thing to do, and does it align with the objectives of the region now, because actually once you accounted for all of the commitments, you didn't have much money left for £2.4 billion, and that is why I've kind of made a distinction in posts online around this is what happens when you chase growth, is that you might end up with out of that £2.4 billion, a few but very powerful schemes that impact or unlock new areas but only impact people using those areas versus everyday improvements, because you could spread that 2.4 billion across the region and get very small journey improvements that do add up, but that doesn't get you your big tramway, or when you go commit to £400 million to unlocking a sports quarter, which yes, probably the right thing to do, but also commits a big chunk of your money for 5 years. That's reporting back in February. I don't necessarily know what the outcome is for Birmingham. I just have a hesitancy that they might look at big schemes like tramways, which start to absorb lots of funding, and I don't think actually is the right way to fund tramways at all, because they are expensive and they are good. We should fund it in alternative ways, but it might mean that small things but good things like cycleways start to become less of a priority in that big package, because it's got alternative funding through something called the integrated settlement, which is how we get our active travel fund money, but also isn't enough money to do lots of big cycle corridors at all. So yeah, we'll certainly kind of look at that. It's been way too secretive. Everything has just been put into that basket and then not reported on at like governance and transparency meetings, which has been quite disappointing, and has been a theme since the new mayor took office. But we'll see what happens there. Hopefully Birmingham do quite well out of it, but I do note that £400 million is already committed to Birmingham for the sports quarter.
Yeah. So let's just think then about coming up to these May elections. We have put out our request for manifesto pledges. Hopefully we will get lots of candidates sign up to them. I know we already have had some, and we've had some great conversations with candidates as well.
We've had some good conversations with candidates and also parties within Birmingham that are really on board with ultimately addressing road safety and probably in a faster manner than has been achieved so far. As you say, we're a couple of years into the road safety emergency now, and we'd probably like to get to Vision Zero a lot faster than the current pace allows.
The current trajectory, for sure. I mean, is there anything that we should be asking people to do? Should they be speaking to their candidates? Say, please.
Yeah, so I think the first thing is to go and read the asks and get familiar with them. They're available on our website. They have explanations if you open all of the drop downs on how to achieve it, what the benefits are, and also some links through to national campaigns, because actually our asks are predominantly a bringing together of national campaigns that have been going on for quite some time. So it isn't just Better Streets of Birmingham kind of trying to rethink our roads, it's actually long-standing campaigns. In terms of what people can do with them, I think co-signing is great. We can also keep you in the loop with what's happening then. As things get closer to the election, more candidates will come out, so more are being announced all the time for various different parties. Certainly engaging with those candidates and saying I care about road safety, I care about not just road safety but how I move around the city, and potentially, like you say, Kevin, I use the Hagley Road for a while for my journeys, and I get stuck on the bus, and that means that I miss a lot of things, or means that I can't go into the office as much because I don't know if I'm going to get there or if I'm going to get home on time. So really kind of taking that to candidates and getting them familiar with why it matters to you and encouraging people to do the same means that we can at least have people that are fairly well versed with what the steps would be to addressing the road safety emergency. And then on the other side of the election, we'll take stock of kind of who's in and start talking to them about how to achieve safer streets, no matter which colour or hybrid or whatever starts to emerge as a ruling party.
Yeah, and I'll say as well, please do, as a listener, visit betterstreetsofbirmingham.org, and if you sign up and support us, but also we do regularly post in our newsletter what consultations are coming up and how some ways to think about those consultations, and perhaps whether there wants support or things that could be improved on them. So, and obviously we do that all through the years, so we're part of that. Okay, Martin, thank you very much for your time. It's been very nice chatting with you here. And
you're welcome. Thank you.
Here's to a good 2026.